Well, we've had 2 Premier League game weeks this week, but don't fear, we're not going to go through all of them. Don't worry about that. We are here to discuss the last weekend's Premier League action. Manchester United have lost to Bournemouth at home. 3-0. I shouldn't laugh too much, really, but I hope you are all well. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Josh is with me and Sean. Firstly, Josh, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Sean, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not bad. Busy all the time at the moment. I've got a lot going on.
Well, there we go. Well, we're grateful for you to be here. See, it's all right for some, Sean. Josh is off to Lanzarote tomorrow.
Yeah, man. Now, pre-Christmas jolly.
Yeah, it's all right for some, innit? Well, I'm just gonna have a, I'm just gonna have a drink because it all went Spursy Thursday night, but we won't talk about that too much.
We talk about it all you want, mate. I've got plenty to say on it.
Let's firstly go to South London. We started the weekend off with, as a Amazon presenter described on Thursday night, as Liverpool's favourite kickoff time, which turned Jurgen Klopp up, which was mildly amusing. But anyway, they did win at Crystal Palace. Whether you thought it was right or not, they picked up the 3 points. Crystal Palace 1, Liverpool 2. Josh.
Yeah, well, to be honest, another poor refereeing display again, as per usual when you see a big 16. I thought Palace were the better team up until the 75 minutes when was it Ayew, I think it was, and got sent off. They had the better chances. Obviously, Liverpool had the ball, most of the ball you're not going to get. But for Palace, they worked quite hard. They had the better chances, and they probably would have at least got a draw, most likely 1-1-0. So they didn't really look like scoring if it wasn't for the yellow card. It was a bit silly, really. I forgot the incident now, to be honest. I'll have to watch it again. I did watch the game, but I just remember it was a bit stupid. Palace also had a goal disallowed first half, which was fair enough, to be fair. It wasn't a goal, it was a penalty disallowed, I think, because of the foul again. I think it was probably fair enough to give them these days, the pushing the back. But I thought Palace definitely would have went on to win the game if it weren't for the yellow card. And then you just knew as soon as it down to 10 men, you just going to happen. Liverpool were always going to go on and win it from then. I think they scored something like 30 seconds after or something like that. And then you knew from then they were always going to win the game. I think the first one he got booked for time wasting or something like that, didn't he? And that's how it ended up happening. So yeah, I think knew it was going to happen. Roy Hodgson's definitely a little bit of pressure now. They're down to about 15th or 16th. I know a few of them wanted them out after the Bournemouth game because they lost their own to them, I believe, in the week as well. So yeah, it's not looking good for him. I think he'll get a bit more time, but they'll probably let him go before Christmas. I'm not sure who they've got coming up, but it's not been great for them. They're not happy. So yeah, as for Liverpool, I didn't think they were great at all, to be honest. First 75 minutes, I'd say they probably would have lost. You always knew it was going to happen once they got to 10 men, but you know, the top of the league now, aren't they? So I still think Man City will end up winning it, but yeah, it's a good result for them in the end.
Yeah, they managed to get over the line somehow. Klopp had all of his excuses lined up until they managed to save things at the end. Listen, you talk about the referee decisions all you like. I didn't think Ayew should have been sent off, and I can't stand Ayew, to be honest with you. So, look, I didn't think he should have gone. And there was various other decisions where Roy Hodgson, I thought rightly, voiced his complaints at full time. Sean, I'm going to start you off with arguably the unforgettable game of the weekend. There weren't too many this weekend, but we're going to go down to the South Coast, to Brighton 1, Burnley 1. It sounded like a bit of a James Trafford masterclass, and Brighton just struggling. They won't be too happy with that at home, that's for sure.
All of a sudden, after I know Brighton had a couple of brilliant, probably 3-4 years, isn't it? Obviously, under Potter and the current manager. This year, they're sort of becoming a little bit one of those forgotten teams a little bit. Like, everyone was talking about Brighton last year and the year before, about the great style of play, this, that. I know they're in Europe, and that's it's brilliant for them getting the European spot. Although getting in, this you can link this to West Ham, because I know we'll get on to West Ham in a minute, but that's Moyes' get out of jail free card, isn't it? Like, and all the pundits saying it on the TV, Stuart Pearce, Simon Jordan said it today as well. He's given you Europe the last 3 years. When you take a step back and look how the teams go up and down, the form, I don't think getting into Europe down to seventh, is it? Not seventh, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think that's such a massive achievement as what some may think it is. Do you know what I mean? Because every year at the moment, one of the big guns, at least one of the big guns, has a poor season. But look at last year, you had Chelsea, Tottenham, Man United just scrapped in, Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? They all had poor years by comparison. Nearly every season, at least one or two or three of the big six or big eight dips off. And it just happens. And every year, a team can just sneak in. So Brighton got in. That was them last year. West Ham about the last couple of years. I'm not sure it's as huge an achievement as what some make out, especially when some teams spend hundreds of millions to get the seventh. So that's what Brighton have got now. But I've said about Brighton a few times it's usually after the European games, and I suppose they've got one again on Thursday. They're just a little bit iffy around it. I know they've had a bit of injuries, like a lot of teams have. I think they're just and Brentford as well. I think that everyone has to talk about these new teams coming up, playing not bad football. We overhype the managers. Do you know what I mean? The Zerbi, Frank, they get linked to all the top jobs. Now they just don't. We're not talking about them as much this season, are we? They're almost by the wayside a little bit. Still doing well by the size of their club, but they're Premier League clubs now. They're operating with big figures. They're there. They deserve to be there, but maybe they're all just sort of leveling out a little bit. And I suppose Burnley they win last week or the week before, was it?
Yeah, Sheffield
the
United.
week before, I think. So yeah, they'll be reasonably happy with a point. Do you know what I mean? Most teams will think, point away to Brighton's good, but when you're in the bottom two, it's not a point's no. I don't think a point is ever a great point when you're struggling as bad as what they are. But yeah, I don't think Brighton have blown me away this year at all.
No, I'd agree for sure. Let's take some comments, see who we have with us. Lawrence, thanks for joining us. Curtis as well. Of course, Ronnie, our Spurs fan, is here as well. Good evening. I wonder whether that is targeted at what happened on Saturday night. I would imply so. See, smile went straight on Josh's face there. He can't wait to get to the Saturday night kickoff, which we will get to very shortly. Don't worry about that one. Josh's grand idea as well. Another fantastic result for the Everton boys, which Tony Bellew, found out very handsomely on our Mr. Celeb last night. To anyone thought that was mildly amusing when he was told that they'd beaten Chelsea after, of course, beating Newcastle midweek as well. So that is all good. Yeah. All good. Right, let's move on. Next, let's go to Old Trafford. I'm going to laugh because I can. Manchester United 0, Bournemouth 3. I tweeted straight after the game, Josh, that I think the whole nation stands and applauds Bournemouth because, unless you're a Man United fan, of course, I think we all had a wry smile at that. Josh, to you?
Yeah, I'll start with Bournemouth. They definitely seem to have turned a corner the last few weeks. I think they've that's 4 wins and then 1 draw in the last 5 games for them. So yeah, most had them to go down to start the season and definitely did after 10 games. For it, that bottom 4 was nailed on for Luton, the 3 promoted teams, and then Bournemouth. But no, they've really done well last few games. And Iraola has always been highly rated, but it looks like he's finally got his team going somewhere. And I think they'll put on to about mid-table now. They're playing very well. As for United, I didn't watch the game in the week, but I believe they were meant to play quite well against Chelsea and deserved the win. But it's just everyone saying they turned the corner when they've 10 Hag got manager a month, Maguire got played a month, Garnacho got goal a month. But realistically, as I said it the other week, who they really played. Whenever they play a bottom half team, they always usually end up scraping past them. Like the one game where they ended up scoring 2 in the stoppage time to win. Even games like Sheffield United away, they were lucky to win. And then whenever they do play a decent team, they get battered like Man City or someone like that. Although apparently they play quite well against Chelsea in a week. So you think this would be a good chance for them to kick on and try and go for the top 4. But to lose like that, I know Bournemouth, they're in good form, but at home, it's just, I watched the highlights as well, and it just looked like Bournemouth were all over him. They already had a shot, Man United. I've got Liverpool next week, and I believe Fernandes is suspended as well. So that could be another 7-0, because I really can't see what they've got there. And now I think Ten Hag will be under pressure again soon. If you look at the games they've got, I don't think they're ideal because they've had quite a nice run recently. So presumably got some games up. Looks like they're probably going to end up going out the Champions League. I think they need to beat Bayern Munich, to go through. Probably won't do. I think that's this week. So yeah, it's not looking good for United at all. I know they've had injuries, but you're telling me if Lissandro Martinez comes back, that's going to change the season. I really don't think so. I actually think Harry Maguire has played quite well when he's come in, and people have been too harsh on him. So I don't think players come back from injuries. Rashford been nowhere near as good this season. He's one of those players. When he's in form, he's unbelievable. When he's not, it's just dreadful, really. The Sancho situation still going on. I was reading today that apparently Barcelona are linked to him, and they're going to try and swap him for that Rafinha who used to be at Leeds. I can't see that. So just don't really know what's going on at United, to be honest. It's just the complete shambles at the club, although it is quite funny to see, to be honest. But yeah, it's not great for them, and also looks like they're going to go out the Champions League, as I said. So not great. Bournemouth should be more than fine now.
I think many have branded it as a now decisive week for Manchester United. They could either be continuing in Europe and maybe getting one over Liverpool, or be booted out of Europe completely and be smashed again by Liverpool. And yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. I don't think he'll be sacked, whatever happens. To be honest with you, I think they're going to play the waiting game until the Glazers get this Jim Ratcliffe bloke in, who's going to supposedly sort everything out. And I think it's a mess. It's a mess that Gary Neville talks about every week. That's not, Ten Hag's fault and all the rest of it, but there is deep problems at Old Trafford. That is for sure, but they are a meltdown, which is mildly amusing. Let's move up to Bramall Lane now. Sheffield United sacked Paul Heckingbottom in the last week. They've brought back former manager Chris Wilder, and straight like that, they have picked up 3 points. They've beaten Brentford at home, and I mean, if you're Brentford, that's a really, really poor result, Sean.
Yeah, it's back to United very quickly.
Yeah.
It's worth remembering that ideally we all want them to at least finish third in the group, because we need the English clubs to get as far as we can in Europe, really, to try and get this fifth spot for the Champions League.
Yeah.
So there's a chance they drop out of Europe altogether tomorrow. We don't really want that. So that's worth keeping an eye on. They got Bayern Munich, who lost 5-1 in the league, so they're gonna want a reaction pretty quick. They're not going to send the kids over or anything. Yeah. Why Sheffield United didn't make this change a couple of months ago, I'm not sure, because he was linked to coming back, wasn't he, quite a while ago? We've always had a bad run, Sheffield United. So yeah, something like this, I suppose, with him coming in straight back in, if they're ever going to get a win at home, it's going to be this one. I don't know a lot about the game, to be quite honest. I was too busy in amongst the crowd at Froome Town watching that. So getting shuffled about how busy it was. But
we had good see we had prime position next to the guy. If you get there early, Sean, we had prime position.
I was there early. It just crowded out around me.
Oh dear. See, all around Sean they were.
Yeah, something like that. It's a great win. Like, they're not going to get many wins. But Brentford, I honestly don't know what went wrong for them on the day. I don't think it's often that they don't score either. They're usually quite consistent at picking something up. And yeah, you're right. It will go down as a very poor result. I think you said about with Brentford in the season. Obviously, they changed the keeper. They haven't got the striker. Who else did they lose? They lose someone else.
Yeah, true. Striker, keeper, left back went.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's him. Henry, the left back.
Henry, yeah.
So the three key players not there, and they haven't looked the same. The danger of a team like this, and they're up and down the league a little bit. Thomas Frank, he's done well, so clubs will start looking at him. And if Tony gets sold, I think I've said before, like they've got this little system, like this little black book thing where they find players that way. I'm never confident that's going to last forever. Every club has a scouting network and idea, and every now and again it just dries up and you've got to try something different. I just wonder at some point whether Frank gets lured away and the next manager comes in and his little system doesn't work of replacing. You could see them start to slide a little. I'm just thinking longer term a little bit here, because obviously this year, a bit of a rare season that three have come up that look like they're really, really going to struggle. when you think of last season, put it this way, look at the three that went down from last season. They're in all three of them are in the top 4 in the championship, I think now. I think if you bring those top 4 up in the championship, I think they finish above the bottom 3 in our league at the moment. I think those top 4 are stronger than the Premier League's bottom 3. So last year we would go, even West Ham, you were in a relegation battle till about February, March, something like that, a little bit
longer than that. April.
So,
yeah.
But you look, so you think about it. Hang on. So if you compare West Ham, say this stage last year, imagine putting West Ham how good you were last year in the league now. You'd be nowhere near the bottom.
No.
Because the bottom 3 are just that bad. It's just made sort of a bit of a. I think the bottom of the table above the bottom 3 is a bit of a false reading, a little bit. Like we don't know how poor are the likes of Wolves and Forest, and are they better than last year? We can't really tell, to be quite honest with you. But my point more to the matter is, next season, I think you're going to have another 3 quite strong teams come back up. So think of last season when you had 6 or 7 battling in to stay up. I think next year you'll be back to that again near the bottom. Now on the Brentford, I wonder if in the summer they lose Frank, they lose Tony, whether they could get sucked into that sort of battle, sort of the battle where like Forest have been the last couple of years, sort of that area. So I'm not saying they will, but I'm just never confident that a scouting system plan, it can never consistently happen. I've used Southampton as an example before. They had a conveyor belt for a while. They not just coming through the academy, they pick up players from Celtic, they pick up players from unheard of players in the German, Dutch league. They sell them on by tripling the money. That just dried up to a halt. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Brighton are going to quite go that way, but I think Brentford, I don't know. I'd be concerned if they lost the manager and Tony and just didn't invest in both of that, reinvest well. I
agree. Yeah. I think they could be facing, especially if those things happen. If they sort of materialise over the next few months, if that does happen, and they could struggle next season. I agree. Right, just to allow Sean to get Spurs and Josh to get Villa, we're now going to dip into the 5:30 kickoff. Come on then, Josh. Let's have it inside 4 days, beating the league leaders, beating the champions. Let's have it, Josh.
Well, I'll talk about the City one a bit first because I can't help myself. And that was just unbelievable, to be honest. I don't really think any team has ever done that to City, like Guardiola City, to be honest with you. 22 shots to 2. We absolutely battered them from start to finish. I think we won the ball back in the final third like 12 times. We were aggressive, we were straight in. We pressed very high straight away. We worked very hard, and then they just couldn't deal with it really. I always felt quite I wouldn't say we'd win, but I always knew we had a decent chance. I don't think there could have been a better time to play them. I will say that. They had Rodri out from suspension, Grealish and Doku as well, and they were also in bad run of form. I don't think they've won in 3 or 4, so I don't think they've been time to play them. But we absolutely dominated them, really. They had the 2 shots, which was 2 Martinez, 1 the saves, to be fair to them. And the rest of it, we just blew them away, really. I don't know how it wasn't more. That's the only thing I will say. We didn't really take our chances, and the one we did score in the end was a deflection of all the chances. But anyway, the Arsenal one, I wouldn't say it was a great performance, unlike the City one, but we grinded it out, and to beat City and Arsenal in the same week is just unbelievable, really. I still thought first 10 minutes we played a bit like the City game. We were straight on the toes. We were into them very quickly, and they couldn't deal with it. They looked shell shocked, but then you could tell they were a bit leggy after that because they'd had an extra day's rest, and when we played 4 games in 9 days, so they were definitely a bit leggy. But I wouldn't say they were great either. There wasn't too many clear-cut chances that they had. Leon Bailey as well, who I've given a lot of stick in the past. He has been much better this season. I thought he was very good against Man City, man of the match, and in the 45 minutes he played against Arsenal as well, he done his bit. Diego Carlos as well, another one who I'll probably give a bit of stick to, but he's come back from injury, his long-term injury, looking really good as well. Completely man-marked Haaland out the game in midweek, and done quite well against Arsenal as well. So yeah, 6 points from them too. It's just unbelievable, really. I think we're third now, 2 points off the top. As for Arsenal, again, it's another one where I sort of felt like I fancied our chances because I don't think they've been great recently. They got very lucky against Luton. I think they only beat Wolves by a goal the week before, and then Brentford was another late winner for them. So I always fancied the chances in that one as well. As for the other penalty shout, I do think we could have got away with that one a little bit because it was quite similar to the one that was given in the Liverpool game. But again,
it's like clockwork though, Josh, isn't it? You know, Arsenal, as soon as they lose, woohoo, we're out the excuses, out they all come. They wanted Carlos sent off for a sort of arm movement. They wanted a penalty for something that, listen, he kicks in, but I thought it was a bit soft, to be honest with you. You know, if you're giving that a penalty, the way he sort of fell back, I thought was a little bit unnecessary. But if it's given, you can't really complain. But overall, did you sense there was a bit too much moaning and groaning going on from the Arsenal lot for that?
I thought the referee was dreadful, to be honest, and apart from maybe that one, because they give it in the Palace Liverpool game and it was quite similar, maybe that one could have been a penalty. But then again, as you said, you can class that as soft. It's just there's inconsistency, isn't there, because they give it for the Palace one. Yeah. But they were going down every 2 minutes, and then you've got like Arteta saying protect Saka and all this. But like in game, you've got to be aggressive. You've got to press like aggressively. You've got to be straight on the toes. Like you can't give them a minute at the ball. I just feel like sometimes in the modern game, like Luton were trying to do it against Man City, and the ref was just giving them like little fouls just for being a bit like aggressive and trying to play a bit more intense, which is just, I suppose that's just, you know, the way the game is now. But no, I thought Arteta as well, you could see him storm on straight away because he was in the stands, weren't he? Yeah, I don't like the Arsenal, to be honest. They're just a bit, you know, same with all the big teams, to just like
go on, Josh,
moaning so much the excuses. But no, I'm glad we beat them. Both 1-0, but that City one certainly could have been more. And to be honest, even in the Arsenal one, I thought every time we come forward, which wasn't much, but we did come forward, we looked like scoring. But we just let them have the ball. We didn't press as well, but you know, we grinded out. And you know, like Arsenal have done last few weeks, that's what elite teams do. Sometimes you don't play well, but you get the wins. I've said it a number of times on here. Got times on the Smith and Gerrard where you've had like 20 shots, but you still come away with a loss. You played brilliantly, but you don't win. You know, we're sort of being able to grind now under Emery, which is what elite teams do, which I'm happy with. And I think top 4 is definitely, we've got a chance now. I think 5 points clear of Spurs. I still think we'll probably drop off with Europe, and I think we'll end up coming about 5th. But you've definitely got to give us a chance now with some of the other teams. So Newcastle, they look like they could be going into the Europa League. That could affect their season. They've already got a lot of injuries. Same with United. And then Spurs, I do think will still finish above us, but you don't know. We're 5 points ahead, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, 2 very good wins for us.
Yeah, brilliant and brief, Josh. I still think that I still think Villa will drop off at some point, but you know, you'd be foolish not to put them in a top 4 race. I mean, what they've done over the last 4 days has been excellent. And to be fair, if they keep going, I'd much rather see Villa win the league than any of the teams that are out there, to be honest, because I don't really like Liverpool. I don't really like Arsenal. Man City is just getting a bit boring. So if Villa want to go and win it, Josh, crack on. As long as Spurs do, I don't really care, to be honest with you. Right, let's take some of these comments before we move on. Villa are flying, they certainly are. Ronnie says, as good as Villa have been, I do think they will be in the top 4. Yeah, so do I. Cyber, thanks for joining us. I think that Pau Torres has been a great signing for Villa. Says,
very good.
Granddad, there we go. Ken says, Villa midfielder picking up position, getting beyond Rice in pockets. Arsenal couldn't handle. Emery is a brilliant tactician, and Watkins is so underrated. Yeah, it's hard to disagree with any of that. I rate Watkins highly, and I think what Emery's doing there is brilliant. We'll dip back into the 3 o'clock games to finish them off. I'm sorry, Sean, you've had all the stinkers there. I do apologise. Wolves won, Nottingham Forest won.
No.
Sorry, Sean. This isn't on purpose.
I didn't even remember they played.
Neither did I. This is the forgettable game of the weekend. Go on.
Well, I mentioned both these teams earlier, didn't I? That they're both sort of how bad are they? They're hovering around. I don't think either of the clubs or the fans are that bothered about it. Do you know what I mean? They know neither are going to probably sneak into the top half. They know they're not going to get dragged in the relegation battle, probably. Although there was talk of Cooper getting the sack. He didn't get the sack in the end. Still there, isn't he? Still there?
Yeah, he's still there.
Their fans absolutely love him, don't they?
Yeah.
Because I can't remember exactly what it is, but they're on a terrible little run, weren't they? Especially before this. Like they lost. I know they lost. They used to have a good home record. I think they've lost 2 in a row at home now. I know their owner's a bit one of those, and he's a bit of a tool. Do you know what I mean? He's one of those sort of foolish owners that a bit like the Watford owners.
Yeah.
Who else there been in the past that do real random sackings? There's been a few. I'm trying to think, but he's definitely one of them. If the owner's got any sense, he'll look at the league table and think, just be a little bit content with it at the moment this season. Bit of what I was on about a minute ago. Like if I was an owner of a club, say, well, any club from say about mid-table down, and I'll include West Ham in this because I think I've read they might spend a bit of money in January. I would sort of take this season as a bit of a free hit, where you know you're not going to get dragged in the relegation zone. You know you're not going to. There might not be if you're happy with a manager who's hitting a bad form, ride it out and maybe plan for next year. I think Josh said about Roy Hodgson. We covered. We mentioned with Palace. I think when they give him the job, which is probably about this time last year, maybe.
Last year,
yeah, it was Vieira, wasn't it? He's obviously not the long-term plan to have him in there. That's obvious. But they don't need to sack him. I think it'd be utterly pointless unless they've got a real good plan who's coming in. And obviously, he's in his mid-70s now, I believe. So he's not going to be there for this time next year, probably. But they can ride out the season with Hodgson. They can eye up someone. They can maybe even backdoor it and line up someone from Europe one of these young up-and-coming coaches, if that's the route they want to go down. They were probably a little bit naive and just chucked their name at their club at a name in Vieira. That's probably, in the hindsight, a bit naive. But they've got a free hit to have a good 6 months to plan their future now. Think, where are we going to take this club? What direction do we want to go on? Most clubs, when they sack a manager, have got to decide it in the space of 2 weeks. The likes of West Ham, who I'm reading, aren't going to renew Moyes' contract probably. You've got Palace. You've got who else? We've got in there. Maybe Brentford if Frank goes. You've got a free hit. You've got a good 6 months or more to start thinking. Right, next season, who are we going to put in place? Because the league in the bottom half could get tougher next year. If Leeds come up, we might see an upset in the playoffs. But I'll be surprised if we don't see 2 of Leicester, Leeds, Southampton back up. Ipswich are flying. That's another young coach. His record's incredible. If you look at his record since he took over, it's incredible in League One. So they're like these sort of mid-table, like Forest. If they think it's time to move Cooper on, don't sack him because the fans love him. There's no need. Just sit tight and plan it. Do you know what I mean? You can sack him on the last day of the season if you've got a good plan in place. I think a lot of clubs, they've got nothing to play for, really. Do you know what I mean? They've got nothing to really play for. So just sit tight, plan it. Forest, Wolves, do you know what I mean? I know Wolves got O'Neill in place. I think some sort of seen Wolves maybe struggling. I think some probably tipped them to go down if any of the bottom 3 were going to survive. But if that doesn't work out, they don't. If Wolves go on a shocking run of 4 or 5 defeats in a row, they'd be mad to rush it. They'd be mad to. It's just the owners have got a real chance to be patient this season because you just don't see the bottom 3 getting close to surviving. So they just need to just sit tight, I think. And these 2 clubs are 2 prime examples. They've got managers in place. I know O'Neill's only been there about 4 months, but I think question marks are probably over his head as soon as he got the job, really. Was he going to be good enough? But there's no rush. Just sit tight. I think that Forest owner, I think he's a little bit one of these lunatic owners a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Remember he come in and signed about 35 players. He's the type that would just pointlessly pull the trigger when he felt like it. Because he's probably, I don't know his background, but I'd imagine he hasn't got much of a football background. Like, I'm not an expert in the field, really, but to me, it's a lot. So yeah, I think I think it's just two clubs that have got an opportunity. The fans might not like it. I know I go on about style of play and being miserable fans and all that, but I think you've got to look at it a bit more common sense at the league table this year for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. And for a club like Forest, it makes absolutely zero sense because they're in no fear or worry of going down. It's just not going to happen. So maybe if they don't view Cooper as their long-term sort of vision, then maybe let's leave it till the end of the season. Forest will be fine, says Kent. The big striker is a massive miss, but they've got more than enough to stay up once the players are back. Ronnie reckons Spurs are going to smash Forest on Friday night. We will see about that. Does Southampton have a buyback clause? Not what we're publicly aware of in James Ward-Prowse, but he will end up back there one day. I don't have too many qualms about that one, to be honest. George Granite says Forest are being looked at by the Premier League over their financial spending. Oh, are they? Oh,
I think I'm sure with Forest there was something about they were withholding bonuses to the players or something like that. So I think they had bonuses to stay up, and the owner was withholding some of the payments. I'm pretty sure it's not the financial spend. I think it was more of that, like breaking contractual things.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see whether anything.
But that's been rumbling on like a lot of these rumble. That's bouncing back in the summer, I think.
Yeah, true. Let's move to Merseyside then, where Chelsea lost again. Everton 2, Chelsea 0. And Josh, over to you. Listen, we never had any doubt Everton would go down, especially with that point deduction given to them. And I mean, if they didn't get that point deduction, they'd be flying right now.
Yeah, I think they'd only be a couple of points off Europe, to be honest. They're absolutely flying. I think that's 3 wins in a row for them. It's the first time they've done that since he was there. So they're looking like a proper Dyche team now. If you watch against Newcastle, see even like the 90th minute when they're 2-0 up, how hard they work and how well they were pressing. At first, they looked a bit unorganised, which we've never seen a Dyche team look like before. But he's definitely got them organised now. They're working hard. The football's not what you're going to get. They don't keep the ball very well whatsoever, but they create chances and they work hard. There actually would be a couple of points if Europe ever worked out. They'd be 9th, I think it is.
9th they would be.
Mental. After them first 4 games, when I think they got 1 point, we all thought even without not even knowing they get a 10-point deduction that they'd down, but they've definitely turned it round. Some really good individual performances from them in the last few weeks. James Garner, like a really good player. Jared Bramthwaite could be in line for an England call-up as well. He's looked really good. James Tarkowski as well. Proper like Dyche players, not great on the ball. Tarkowski, but just solid defender. And then even Ashley Young as well. He's
Ashley Young.
Yeah. But then Calvert-Lewin up front as well, real handful. So you've got quite a bit of depth in that area, which is the last couple of years. That's always been the problem. The striker, obviously Mopé wasn't the most popular around there, and then they haven't really had anyone else to play up front the last couple of years because Calvert-Lewin's always been injured. But it looks like they finally solved that now. Calvert-Lewin seems to have sorted his fitness out, and this Beto looks very good as well. Well, not very good, but he definitely seems a handful, similar type of player to Calvert-Lewin. They definitely turned a corner, Everton, and I think even if they don't get a few of the points back, I still think they can come about 14th, 13th this season. And as for Chelsea, it's not looking good for them. I heard Pochettino's moaning that he wants more signings in January. It's not like he hasn't had enough, but
chuck some more money at it.
Yeah, looks like they're going to go and spend again. That's not the problem. I don't think they've got a bad team. They just need to gel, and it's a young team, really. It just seems Chelsea to do rebuild after rebuild after rebuild, but they can't really help themselves but do another rebuild, if you know what I mean. They don't really let their young team grow into a team sort of thing. They just have to splash the cash again and see if another group of players work, because it's just ever since he sacked Thomas Tuchel, it's just gone downhill. Abramovich, obviously, he's been, in trouble for that. He had to sell it, but I bet he definitely rather than the Bowley, because the club was They spent the
I
money.
think Chelsea's strategy has just been incredibly naive for a long time, to be honest with you, and there's no surprise that it continues to not work. And even in the final stages of the Abramovich sort of era and coming into what Todd Bowley's done there, it's just been incredibly naive, and it's at a boiling point now where Josh, to be honest with you, I'm surprised they haven't sacked him yet.
Yeah, I probably will next few weeks. Because again, as Sean said with the Forest owner before, there's a lot about football, and probably won't have that much patience. So yeah, there's just the Abramovich era. Obviously spent the money, but they spent it quite well. They were always successful. And I mean, a lot of Chelsea fans moaning now because they're not used to not winning anything. There's a guy on the radio last night saying he's giving up a season ticket unless Bowley goes, which is just a bit pathetic, really. But I suppose that's just what the big teams do when they're not winning anymore. But no, it's not looking good for Chelsea. There's a few bright spots. Sterling's been very good this season. I believe Reece James went off injured again. It's just he can't really play more than 3 games or getting injured, can he? So no, it's not great for Chelsea. About 12th now, but no, Everton have definitely turned the corner.
They certainly have. Let's take some of your comments. Everton would have been 1 point behind West Ham, but for a 10-point deduction, they'd be up into the top half of the table. So I think it just shows, how much that means. There's been reports this week that maybe they're going to get some of them points back. Who knows? Pete Gadd says, would they, or did that point deduction sort of ignite a fire? Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with that. Would the performances have come without the sort of determination and, let's go and show the Premier League what we're all about after that 10-point deduction? I don't know. Nobody knows, but I think it's an interesting point for sure. Brathwaite, what a player. Brilliant signing from Carlisle United. Seems to be going under the radar. Looks really, really solid. What about the 3-0 victory over Newcastle? Doesn't get a lot of mention. 2 very, very good results in the space of a week for Everton, and just it's not been a good week for the Geordie boys. We'll come on to that a little bit later on. Sadly, Brathwaite misses the next game against Burnley. He's got his 5 yellow card ban now, so he'll miss the next one, but still a very, very good player. Let's go to Craven Cottage, shall we? Fulham 5, West Ham United 0. A result that has been coming for a while, really, hasn't it? We've got away with it here and there, late winners against Burnley and equalisers against Forest or whatever it was. And look, it's been boiling and it's been coming to the front for a while. And it came against Fulham. Some fans, some of the very optimistic West Ham fans are surprised by it. It didn't, at the time I was a bit like flipping out just because I didn't expect it to be that bad. But yeah, it's been coming for a while, unfortunately, and the whole Moyes thing's been dug out again. The Moyes debate, well, it's just irrelevant, wasting breath, to be honest with you, because he's not going to get sacked unless we go on a stupid 10 or 12 winless streak. If I'm being brutally honest, he'll run his contract down, and I think we'll start again with a new manager, hopefully next season with some new ideas and probably a new direction and philosophy for the football club. And look, I think it was Gary said to me last night, was it on the build-up show or something, or on the reaction after the game, and I think this links to what Sean was saying earlier about sort of teams not going to go down. Listen, we're in no sort of fear of going down. There is pretty much zero chance of us being relegated this season at this current position. So I think we should go all out for the cups and sort of put the Premier League not on the back burner, because that sounds ridiculous. But we've got 2 games left, two cup games left in this month that I'd arguably say are the 2 most important games of our month. We've got Freiburg on Thursday. We need to avoid defeat there to go through in Europe, and then we've got the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup against Liverpool in 9 days' time, a week Wednesday. So that is an opportunity to go through to a 2-legged semi-final, which I think is the most important game of the month, to be honest with you. And look, we're just going to have to see out these Premier League games now, and there's been the excuse, or whether it's a whatever about a sickness bug. I think it probably is true to an extent, because the players have been given 2 days off training, so hopefully it can go over the 2 days and we can be sort of as a squad back to full fitness, because there was no training today and we've heard that there'll be no training tomorrow, which if there wasn't a bug, that wouldn't be taking place, to be honest with you. With a game on Thursday, I don't see any other team giving 2 days rest off to a side. So look, we struggled without Emerson and Alvarez. There's no doubt about that. Two very key players. The midfield looked awful, if we're being brutally honest. It's putting square pegs in round holes with Ward-Prowse and Souček in a double pivot. It just simply doesn't work. So it exposed how key Alvarez is in that side, and we all knew Cresswell's not good enough. And when Emerson came on, we saw a little bit of an improvement on that left-hand side. But yeah, it's been coming for a while. I'm glad it didn't come against Tottenham on Thursday night, but it came against Fulham. It is what it is. Hopefully we could turn things round on Thursday against Freiburg. Sean?
This probably brings me in to talk about Thursday a bit first, doesn't it, I suppose?
Go on quickly.
Weird game Thursday. It was a weird game. Like, I think I said to you before when we covered it before, and the last few weeks, because I'm not making this use of the injuries, but almost the results at the moment weren't massively important, because I was confident it was going to start turning. West Ham, I know you gave yourself a bit of credit for how you maybe stifled us in the second half on Thursday.
Yes, we did.
I just come away thinking of how bad you were. I did. I just really did. You did stifle us a bit, but I think Tottenham fans mainly put that down to Tottenham being poor. So it's difficult, because I haven't heard a Tottenham fan give West Ham. It's not because of any little rivalry or anything. No Tottenham fan really gave West Ham a lot of credit for the game. Like, you could have been playing till Christmas, and I don't think you'd have scored without the 2 goals we gave you, really. So I come away with it thinking, and this might sound absolutely nuts to you because it is the local derby, and you're going to get a bit of bragging rights, which you're entitled to. You win the game. I come away with thinking to myself, I've said for a while that a lot of paper over cracks at West Ham. I come away with thinking to myself, to win a game like that, which you didn't really do a lot to try and win it, in all fairness, better second half, but didn't do a lot to try and win it. I come away with thinking of it as, this is going to sound mad, was it a worse result for Tottenham, or was it a worse result for West Ham in the bigger scheme of things?
Now, I'd agree with you if I thought there was a chance that they sacked Moyes, which there isn't. It's just
I just like great. You got a great will. You win a derby, it's brilliant. I get that, but I come away with thinking, right, Tottenham, you're rubbish. It's the worst 45 of the season, but possibly because our Moyes kills games, it was probably looked one of the worst 2 teams we've played.
It was a Moyes masterclass, there really, wasn't it? It exposed the pressure in the first half, and to be fair, that first half was awful. I was sort of hiding myself behind a cushion, to be honest. It was like one-way traffic. I think Fabianski was the only player to touch the ball in the first 25 minutes for West Ham. It was quite painful. But listen, I thought second half we were quite resilient to come back into it. Spurs were poor. There's no doubt about that. But Spurs haven't been very poor so far this season at any stage, so I've got to give us some credit in that front. Just finish that off because we've got to move on. Go on.
Yeah, so just how that game ended, I just wonder, winning games where you didn't deserve it and very, very ugly, and maybe you didn't deserve to get stuffed after your second half performance. I just thought going into, like you said, a hiding was coming, and I think Spurs, looking back compared to the Newcastle game, I think Ange shuffled it around a bit and put a few players in better positions and better combinations.
Yeah,
I think he wasn't happy with the team versus West Ham. I think it's the only time I've heard him cross this year, really, saying that certain things weren't good enough. He put some things right himself against the Newcastle. So the 5-0, it didn't shock me a lot, and I think some West Ham fans probably needed that 5-0 as well a little bit, like you said, because you could have how games have gone in the last month. You could have easily lost 4 in a row. Do you know what I mean, or whatever? Or where they've been in a balance and you've been poor for 85 minutes and they've gone the other way. So yeah, I think the 5-0 defeat might do a few of the fans some good in a weird way.
Well, we will leave it there. Let's go to Kenilworth Road. Luton 1, Manchester City 2. This was the 2 o'clock game on the telly. Now, I was thinking about this, Josh, just before I come to you, is that I don't know whether the Premier League were just giving Luton a little bit of a helping hand, because I thought about it today, because Luton have played 4 of the big 6 so far: Spurs, Arsenal, Manchester City, and Liverpool, and they played them all at home. And I was just thinking maybe the Premier League wanted to give them a bit of a boost to start off the season, and it was another home game against a big 6 club at Kenilworth Road. And to be fair, they pushed another one of them. They pushed City out, so they pushed Liverpool and Arsenal, and Spurs, I suppose you could say, to an extent as well. But they didn't again pick anything up out of the game. Man City showed their class in the second half. Luton 1, Manchester City 2. Josh.
Yeah, I thought Luton were very good, to play quite well. One thing I will say is the referees was quite poor. The referees were poor, to be honest. That's not want to say biased to City, but you probably think he was. To be honest, it was just like they were trying to be aggressive, play a bit more intense sort of thing, but they were just giving little fouls, and really fouls. And then City would do the exact same type of thing, and then he wouldn't give it. It's just, again, no consistency whatsoever. And I definitely think the referees are intimidated by people like Pep and Klopp. You can see, like, as soon as Luton scored the first goal, I think it was just before time, a few seconds before, it was 2 minutes of stoppage time. The goal went in something like 46, 56, something like that. And then Guardiola to the fourth official and the ref at half time as they going in saying, like, it was overtime when it wasn't even overtime. I definitely just think they're a bit intimidated by them type of people. Because then you tell straight away, second half, like there's like 5 fouls straight away, first 2 minutes given to City, some of them which are questionable to say the least. But anyway, I thought second half City's class just shown really. They're a completely different team with Rodri in. It's not a one-man team, far from it, but they are so different when he's in there. He's just a complete monster, really. Drives them forward, hardly ever gives the ball away, wins it back. And they were pushing just before the goal. You could see it was going to happen. And then as for the second one, thought it was going to be a goal, but it turns out it hit Alvarez's head. And a mistake by the defender, should have really got to it, and it really put it in the back post. And to give it a good go, last 10 minutes, Luton, to be fair, had a few corners, but that's all they can do, really. They're definitely competing. They're doing a lot better than I thought they would after watching that first home game at West Ham, where they were awful. They've definitely improved since then. They're competing in these type of games. They're very unlucky in the weekend to Arsenal. Got points against Liverpool, obviously, and quite unlucky in this one as well, to be honest. They pushed them all the way. So they're definitely by far the most competitive out of the newly promoted teams. They'll probably always have enough. But Bournemouth, maybe they were competing with them a few games ago, but they've definitely they're on a roll now, so don't think that'll be happening. But they're competing, that's the least they can do. They've brought in a couple of players. Ross Barkley's looked quality the last few games as well. He's looked very, very good. But then you look around the rest of the squad, but in Townsend as well, who's sort of a bit over the hill now. The rest of the squad is just the squad they had last season, really. So you can't blame them. They're giving it a good go. It'd be nice to see them stay up, but I can't see it, to be honest, but they gave it a good go yesterday.
I'm going to give Luton some credit again, because, I was gutted for them on whenever it was, Wednesday night, when they played Arsenal, not only because I don't like Arsenal and dislike the final goal scorer and winner in the manner that it happened midweek. I've sort of felt from a bit, obviously after the Liverpool heartbreak, I suppose you could call it, in the end, and then that again was a sucker blow for them. And this, to an extent, they took they took the lead once again in a game against one of these big clubs, and look, at one stage, last week they were looking like they were pulling away from the pack, but look, a week's a long time in football, and there's now sort of a gap that's been formed again there, and those 3 will go down. There's no doubt about that, I think, but they certainly have shown a fighting chance in the last couple of games and against these big clubs. That is for sure. Let's just take some comments about the West Ham game and this game before we continue on. Kent says that hiding at Fulham has been coming all season. The whole performance was inept, passion, no fight, too slow, not enough speed in the team. We were awful. Only good thing was the fans yesterday. Yeah, got to give the fans credit because they tried to see, the ones that stayed there tried to see the light in it and sang "We Are West Ham's Claret Blue Army," not David Moyes' Claret Blue Army, for about 15 minutes straight. And yeah, the fans were brilliant yesterday, and they haven't seen too many worse than that over a 90-minute period. The last one was probably Brighton away, which was probably equally as bad last year. Hello, Chris. How are you? Leicester fan. Big up, guys. You keeping our space warm for us. Looks like you lot are coming back up. Leicester away on the cards again next year. That's jolly good. It's a hard league. It certainly is. Teams are taking the points off of each other. It's a reality check for West Ham for sure. I think Jay's gone a bit overboard on the Christmas decorations. Well, I've been getting some compliments for my Christmas. Oh, you can't even see it there. Right, Sean, you're going to the top for a minute. I've been getting some credit for my Christmas decorations. Sean gave me some credit for it the other night on the preview for the West Ham colours. As Dad says, there's no expense spared. What do you think I am made of money? Would you expect a big Christmas tree to go here or something? Jesus Christ on a bike. See? Sean's not got no Christmas decorations on his swirly-whirly background wall, so what should I?
No, nothing here, mate. Nothing here.
No. Are your decorations up yet, Sean?
Yeah, I'm up in my bedroom at the moment, out of the way. So
that's
downstairs, we've got a massive tree, which is like a drunk peacock on top. It just looks like there's a bit of feathers everywhere in it and all sorts. So,
I'm guessing you had no input in that then.
No input in that whatsoever, mate.
Josh, I'm guessing your tree's up.
Yeah, trees off, a few lights downstairs. So yeah, can't complain.
Are you a fan of it nice and early, or would you prefer to wait?
Once you get to December, I don't mind putting it up in November and that. I don't like that.
Oh, it's criminal. It's absolutely criminal.
Yeah, December, I don't mind.
I agree. Yeah, as soon as you get to December, I'm like, fair enough. But anything before is absolutely criminal, in my opinion. And I'm sure Sean agrees.
Of course.
There we go. There we go. Josh's granddad says, I was at Goodison yesterday when the Luton halftime score came out. There was a sharp intake of breath when the score, of course, because they were 1-0 up at halftime, weren't they, I think? So yeah, interesting stuff. Mike, I hope you are well. Evening all. I see the FA have apologised to Newcastle after Romero yellow should have been a red. I did see a journalist report that. I'm not sure if it's confirmed. We'll talk about that in a minute. But lucky Spurs again. They 4-game ban. Romero should have got for that because it's 2. You get a 4-game ban.
Just on this thing here, I'm not a fan of anyone apologising. This PGM, I haven't read if they've apologised or not. I think when they start apologising for a wrong decision, I think they just set a bad precedent for themselves. I just think they set themselves up for the fall. Now you've got weird fans tweeting them asking for, you going to apologise? I don't think they should have ever started that, personally. I don't care how bad the decision is wrong. I just don't think they should have started apologising it. And if they have apologised to Newcastle, I think that's a bit hilarious because they were 4-0 down. It's about the 80th minute. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I just don't.
Yeah, to be fair, that could have put him out for 3 or 4 months. If we want to talk about cynical challenges, putting players out for 3 or 4 months.
I agree with that, but I've seen what I thought was a worse one you haven't mentioned it in the Luton Man City game.
Yeah, I didn't quite see it, but a few people have tweeted about it. What happened now?
I thought that one was worse. I thought that one was a worse. Yeah, I think Romero. I think it's probably a red, but I think he might have. You could have argued a tiny bit. There was a bit of a slip involved, a little bit. But the Luton one, I thought was worse, and I'm guessing they haven't apologised for that. I just don't like the whole apology. I don't get it. I don't get why he started it. You've always had wrong decisions, whether it's a ref or whether it's VAR. Apologising the clubs is just, for starters, it's admitting that the officials are wrong for starters, and I don't think that's a good way to go.
Yeah,
the decision is a decision. I think they should just move on straight away. As soon as you start apologising and admitting you're wrong, that could open up a whole nasty world of the next thing that'll happen. A club will start a lawsuit. That's the next ridiculous thing that'll happen. And if you start admitting you're guilty of something, do you know what I mean? You're admitting your guilt.
Exactly. Just before we come on to this game, Josh, red or not for Romero for you?
Yeah, it was very reckless, and he's a good player, but he's got to get it. He's got to take that out of his game. I don't mind aggression, but when you're falling up like that, there's no need, and it's going to definitely cost them on this team if he keeps doing it. And yeah, I thought they were very lucky, to be honest.
I tell you what, it's prime Sunday evening entertainment when you've got Peter Drury, and then all of a sudden I was looking at my phone and I heard Gary Neville go, "Ooh!" I was like, straight away, something's happened. Something's happened. Honestly, when you hear that Gary Neville, ooh, honestly, he must take his microphone, put it into his mouth, and go, ooh, every time that happens, which does mildly amuse me, to be honest. And then that happened, and look, I think it's incredibly stupid, to be honest with you. And I thought he was very lucky to escape that 4-match ban, and that would have put Tottenham in even more issue with 4 fullbacks having to cross across that back line against Sean. But in the grand scheme of things, you had to win at some point, didn't you? And Newcastle looked very depleted and flat and sort of inept of ideas, I think. And yeah, Spurs capitalised maybe like they should have done on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's been a strange month or so since that Chelsea debacle, really. We've been we have got a few bodies back now, but we've been I feel sorry for Ange because we were flying. And I think, what I said to you, I tweeted it as well last week. I agree what Jamie Redknapp said after the game. I think I know ifs and buts, without that Chelsea fiasco, I think we'd still be top. I genuinely do. I don't think when we look on fire, no team looks probably as good as us on the eye. I think the last month with all these injuries, Andy's been having to try and shuffle the pack lots and lots and lots. He's been bringing in players that, as fans, we probably thought weren't going to be there. And when he has brought these in, he's been trying to think, right, who will work best with who. I'll go back to the West Ham game. Like, remember on the show, I said we started Brian Hill against Villa. I can't remember. Starting against City, and then I said he'd get left out. Lo Celso had 2 good games, one against Villa, one against Man City. He got left out. Do you play Lo Celso on the left wing? Do you drop him in as one of the 3 midfielders? So it's been a bit iffy. I think we've seen a downturn in Basuma's form. Not quite getting that balance in midfield right as well. And against West Ham, I think he's been playing Brennan Johnson. Don't know if you noticed against West Ham, we played both our wingers were playing on their opposite foot, so that every time we went down, we sort of come inside, and we had the overlap of the fullbacks beyond them. He sort of went. So we have Brennan Johnson playing on the left wing, but he's a strong right footer. You have Kulusevski playing on the right wing, but he's a left footer and has to tuck in. So
may have explained it because I thought they were both very poor on Thursday night. I thought both Johnson and Kulusevski were ineffective.
It's the worst game of the season Kulusevski's had because he's been largely pretty class. But yesterday he changed it again, and Richarlison obviously coming down the middle. He's had an operation. Apparently he's been injured for about a year. Has come out now, struggling on the field. So he looks sharper up front. Son we know can play on the left side. He did it with Harry Kane when he played down the middle. We know he can play left side and score. So straight away, and you had Brennan Johnson on the right wing, his natural position. So straight away, you've got 3 players in the front 3. That's more than natural roles. And in behind Kulusevski, he's more than good enough to fill in for Maddison in the 10 role. So do you know what I mean? It looked better. Basuma, we don't realise how much we miss Pape Sarr. He's only like 21 or not even that old. But as soon as we started the season, he was class. Basuma was class. No coincidence. He come back in after a few games out. Basuma straight away far better. So clearly there's something there about that combination which works. I just thought we were far, far better than Newcastle. I think if you have a game against West Ham, we probably didn't have enough clear-cut chances on goal, really. But against Newcastle, I think we had 20 shots, 12 on target. I don't care what league in the world you're in. You're going to be a very, very top side if you come back with them stats. Yeah. I was a bit disappointed with Romero's tackle. I don't really know what was going on in his head. We were 4-0 up with 10 minutes to go. I don't really get what that was all about. And I was a bit disappointed with the goal we conceded. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's been a strange few months, 6 weeks or so. We were good against City, deserved the point. I thought we were half decent against Villa, the better side, didn't get it. I thought we were still the better side against West Ham, didn't get it. the poorest we've probably played and lost that game was probably against Wolves, the game after the Chelsea thing, where again, like I said, he was just thumbing a team together, really. But we just got to hang in there, really. Do you know what I mean? We have got three very key players injured for at least another month, probably. We just need to hang in there. And what the big, massive problem we got here as well, not just the injuries, but it's African Cup of Nations in January, and it's the Asia Cup. Well, if I was worried about injuries, so in the Asia Cup, well, African Cup of Nations, we're going to lose those two midfielders I just mentioned straight away.
Yeah,
Basuma and Sarr, they're gone. Asia Cup's a big kick in the teeth because Son's going, and if you're an Asian footballer, you're allowed to leave your club, even though he's our club captain, 2 weeks before the tournament starts. Obviously, being one of the most famous human beings, not footballers, in the whole of Asia, and captain of Korea, and basically the face of the Asia Cup, he is taking that full quota. So we are losing Son. I think I read today he is leaving on January the 2nd. So he's not even available for the FA Cup third round game. And the Asia Cup runs to, I think, the first week or second week in February.
a month.
So he could miss up to 6 games.
Yeah.
And you chuck in our two solid, probably our best two centre midfield, like our best 2 6s, if you know what I mean. We usually play out 2 6s and 8. It's a bit never-ending for the manager. I know you notice when you sign African or Asian players, it's part and parcel of it. But I don't know if Madison's going to be back by then, and it might mean back going having to not sell Højbjerg. Do you know what I mean? It's just be another obstacle, but that will be a tricky period to work out for. So I just think we just need to hang in. We need to hang in there. Like in the last 3 games, 1-1, lost 1, drawn 1. We might need, if we keep that up for the next 6 weeks, 1-1, drawn 1, lost 1, I don't think we'll be still far away off the top 4 because I have no teams really blown me away. I don't look at the league and someone's in your comments, everyone's beating everyone. Arsenal, their fans, of course, getting carried away. I haven't watched them once and thought, blimey, he's looking real dangerous here. I just haven't. Man City without De Bruyne, a bit like what we said, we got to huff and puff and drag ourselves for the next 6 weeks. I think that's what Man City are doing. I think they're going to drop points. I don't think they're going to win every week. They've just got to stay in there. There's no shock that they lost again midweek with no Rodri against Villa, was it you said? No Rodri, another defeat. I think that's 4 games this year they've lost without him.
Such a key player in there, yeah. Yeah,
Haaland might be out for a few more weeks. I think that I put Tottenham and Man City in a similar boat where they could have they have to slog it out a little bit for another month or more. Do you know what I mean? And if they're still in and around the top 4 of them, which I think they probably should be because they've got enough quality. If they get the balance right, like I said, but keep an eye on January again. That could be another weird one, January.
We shall see. Right, a couple of things before we go. Fantasy League, let's have a little look at that. Josh has stormed up the league. Josh is now, where is he? 6th. Josh is now 6th in our Fantasy League. He picked up 47 points this week. I had an absolute Western Supermare and picked up just 19 points this week. And Sean, Sean got 69 points this week.
Huh?
Here now.
How many players did I have playing?
11.
Did I?
Hang on, Son got you 34 points. What did Son do?
Goal and 2 assists. He's my captain.
Oh, is he your captain? Oh, that's why he's got 34 points there.
I fluked that because I thought he had about 3 out injured. I thought he still had Haaland up front.
No, you don't. Haaland's your captain on the bench, so your vice captain is Son. So they've doubled your points on Son.
Nice move. That's good work then.
So Josh, you're leading the way.
Udogi scored. We still got him.
Yeah. Have you still got Udogi? No, you haven't.
I sold him. I could have more.
So Josh, you're still leading the pack, and Villa title charge continues at Brentford next week.
I don't know. I've got Louise suspended as well. Who's might miss who doesn't play, but we'll see what happens.
Still can't believe that. Sean got 69 points and I got 19. Jesus Christ. Thank you very much indeed for watching this Premier League roundup show. If you enjoyed it, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. We will be back next week to, of course, discuss next week's Premier League action. The usual gang, Josh and Sean, thank you very much indeed for joining me once again.
No worries, chaps. See you soon.
Thank you very much. From me, come on you irons, from Josh up the Villa. It's just who we are, made on the other end of the screen. And we will see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.